The headlines tonight. Bridge to nowhere no more. Vidyasagar Setu opens. Pankhurst pounces. Women's lib gets militant makeover. And don't test the waters. Nuclear test ban treaty takes hold. Plus, coming up, a chicken nugget has been launched into space. Is it now clucking madly on the moon? Those are the headlines. News so fresh, it's still wriggling.
News bang. Slicing through the factual fat with a whip of wisdom. 1992.
India has finally unveiled a bridge that took longer to construct than the average Bollywood epic. The Vidyasagar Setu, a ribbon of asphalt stretching from Kolkata to Hauru, opened today after 2 decades of bureaucratic bungling, industrial action and, one presumes, an astonishing number of tea breaks.
89-year-old Ravi Patel, the first man to cross this monumental span, exclaimed, "Thank Vishnu, I can finally visit my grandson, who's now middle-aged and considering hair plugs."
The bridge, a testament to India's enduring patience, boasts cables so taut they could launch a satellite into orbit. Local daredevil Sanjay, the madman Gupta, attempted to tightrope walk across, but was thwarted by a flock of pigeons mistaking the cables for an avian superhighway.
Traffic experts predict the bridge will reduce congestion from biblical to merely apocalyptic. Meanwhile, conspiracy theorists claim the project was delayed by an underwater civilization of fish people demanding a toll booth and complimentary samosas.
1903.
The Women's Social and Political Union, a group of corset-clad crusaders led by the formidable Emmeline Pankhurst, has declared war on trousers. Their campaign of sartorial sabotage has plunged Manchester into chaos.
Eyewitnesses report hordes of women storming Parliament, armed with rolling pins and demands for suffrage. One terrified MP was heard to shriek, "Good heavens, they're wearing trousers and sensible shoes! It's the end of civilization as we know it."
The WSPU's motto, "Deeds, not words," has taken a literal turn as members nail their restrictive undergarments to the doors of government buildings. Prime Minister Asquith was last seen fleeing Downing Street in his dressing gown, pursued by a mob of suffragettes, brandishing teacups and demands for proper representation.
1963.
In a shocking display of sanity, the world's superpowers have agreed to stop blowing up the planet, at least the bits above ground. The partial nuclear test ban treaty was signed today, relegating future apocalyptic experiments to the less glamorous subterranean realm.
Eyewitnesses report that the American, British and Soviet delegates celebrated the occasion with a rousing game of duck and cover. Loser had to find a new testing ground.
One disappointed observer remarked, "I was hoping for a mushroom cloud shaped like a peace sign, but no, they had to go and be all sensible."
News bang. Tearing down the walls of deception, one fact at a time.
And now, for a forecast that's more baffling than a Rubik's Cube made of custard, it's the weather wordsmith, Shakanaka Giles.
Good evening, viewers. Down south, a proper autumnal salad. Sunshine, showers, breezes, all tossed together in a meteorological mixing bowl. Dress for all seasons, folks. You'll need it. Up north, a wind that could blow the cobwebs off a spider. Hats beware. Trees, take cover. And if you're a lightweight, best stay indoors. You might just take off. The Midlands. Oh, it's a right old meteorological mystery tour. Sunshine 1 minute, hailstorms the next. You might need a sun hat, a raincoat, and a sturdy umbrella, all at the same time. And that's all the weather.
1911.
And now, a century ago today, China was rocked by the Xinhai Revolution, toppling the Qing dynasty faster than you can say imperial collapse. Sun Yat-sen and Yuan Shikai led the charge, establishing the Republic of China and ushering in an era of modernization that left the world's tea rooms buzzing. The last emperor abdicated, leaving his crown gathering dust and China embracing a new republican identity. For more on this earth-shattering event and its repercussions, we go to our correspondent Brian Bastable, who's been furiously leafing through history books all morning. Brian?
The streets of Wuchang are running red with the blood of revolutionaries and imperialists alike. Warlords and rebels clash in a cataclysmic conflagration that threatens to consume the very soul of China. As I stand here dodging bullets and shrapnel, the air is thick with the stench of gunpowder and the agonized screams of the dying. The once mighty Qing dynasty teeters on the brink of collapse, its decrepit armies no match for the fury of the people. Just moments ago, I witnessed a young rebel, his face contorted with righteous anger, charge headlong into a hail of machine gun fire, his body shredded like a rag doll. Yet even as he fell, his comrades surged forward, their battle cries echoing through the smoke-filled streets. The warlords, those ruthless men who have long held China in their iron grip, are now scrambling to save their own skins. I saw one, his opulent robes stained with the blood of his own men, fleeing the battlefield like a frightened rabbit. But the rebels, led by the indomitable Sun Yat-sen, will not be denied. They fight with a passion and fury that cannot be quenched, their hearts filled with the dream of a new China, a China free from the shackles of imperial oppression. As the battle rages on, the very foundations of the city seem to shudder beneath the weight of history. The destiny of a nation hangs in the balance, and the world watches with bated breath. Will the rebels triumph, or will the Qing dynasty, like a wounded dragon, rise from the ashes to crush the uprising? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain: the Xinhai Revolution will forever be remembered as a turning point in the history of China and the world. This is Brian Bastable, reporting from the front lines of the Wuchang uprising, where the fate of a nation is being forged in blood and fire.
1831.
And on this day in 1831, Nottingham Castle went up in flames as angry reformists took matters into their own hands. The Duke of Newcastle's opposition to the Second Reform Bill sparked a fiery response, quite literally. This act of arson not only reduced a historic landmark to ashes, but also ignited a nationwide debate on democratic representation. One can only imagine the Duke's face as he watched his castle burn, probably as red as the flames themselves. For more on this incendiary incident, we go to our crime correspondent Ken Schitt.
Good evening, you festering pustules of political impotence. It's 1831 and the shit-stained streets of Nottingham are ablaze with the righteous fury of the unwashed masses. The Duke of Newcastle, that pompous sack of aristocratic excrement, thought he could piss on the dreams of the common man by opposing the Second Reform Bill. Well, guess what, Dukey boy? The people have had enough of your blue-blooded bullshit. A seething mob of pissed-off plebeians stormed Nottingham Castle like a tidal wave of working-class rage. They didn't come for tea and crumpets, oh no. They came to burn that stone monstrosity to the fucking ground. For 3 days, the castle burned hotter than the devil's own asshole, the Duke's precious trinkets and fancy paintings, kindling for the inferno of change, baby. 23 poor bastards got nabbed for this little bonfire, 9 convicted, some swinging from the gallows. But let me tell you something, you snivelling cowards in Parliament, their sacrifice wasn't in vain. This is the price of progress, you silk-wrapped turds. The common man won't be silenced, won't be ignored. The winds of change are blowing, and they smell like smoke and justice. Ken Schitt, reporting from the ashes of oppression. Back to you, you soft-handed desk jockeys.
Den tisen de zij tweesed, siskus tint de douthries.
And on this day in 1903, a group of women decided that polite requests for voting rights weren't quite cutting the mustard. The Women's Social and Political Union burst onto the scene, led by Emmeline Pankhurst, a woman so determined she made bulldogs look indecisive. Their motto: deeds, not words. Because why ask nicely when you can set fire to a letterbox? This band of suffragettes embarked on a campaign of civil disobedience that would make even the most hardened criminal blush. Joining us now with more on this explosive story is our political correspondent, Hardeman Pesto.
Martin, I'm here in Manchester, 1903, where Emmeline Pankhurst has just founded the Women's Social and Political Union. The atmosphere is electric, with ladies brandishing their hatpins and demanding the vote.
Pesto, are you telling me you've actually spoken to Emmeline Pankhurst?
Well, not exactly spoken to her, Martin. She's a bit busy at the moment, founding things.
So what have you actually done?
I've observed, Martin, from a safe distance. These suffragettes can be quite militant, you know.
Pesto, you're meant to be reporting, not cowering behind a lamppost. Have you at least gathered any information about the WSPU's tactics?
Oh yes, Martin, they're very keen on deeds, not words. Although, ironically, they seem to be using quite a lot of words to express that sentiment.
Can we get some actual facts here? What specific actions are they planning?
Well, there's talk of some light vandalism, perhaps a touch of arson. Nothing too serious.
Nothing too serious? Pesto, are you condoning criminal damage?
Absolutely not, Martin. I'm merely reporting on their intentions. Although, between you and me, I think they might be bluffing.
Let's bring in an expert. I have with me in the studio Dr. Amelia Votesalot, historian of the suffragette movement. Dr. Votesalot, what can you tell us about the WSPU's founding?
Thank you, Martin. The WSPU was indeed founded in 1903 by Emmeline Pankhurst, with the explicit aim of achieving women's suffrage through militant tactics.
Ah yes, that's exactly what I was about to say.
No, it wasn't, Pesto. Dr. Votesalot, could you elaborate on these tactics?
Certainly. The WSPU became known for its deeds, not words approach, which included acts of civil disobedience, hunger strikes by imprisoned members, and yes, some property damage.
See, Martin, light vandalism, just as I said.
Pesto, hunger strikes are not light vandalism. Dr. Votesalot, how long did the WSPU continue its activities?
The WSPU remained active until 1918, when it disbanded after the Representation of the People Act granted some women the right to vote.
15 years, that's quite a commitment. I'm not sure I could go that long without eating.
Nobody asked you to, Pesto. Now, can you at least tell us where exactly in Manchester this founding took place?
Well, Martin, it's definitely in a house, a very house-like house, with walls and a roof and everything.
Dr. Votesalot, do you have any more specific information?
While the exact location isn't certain, it's believed to have been at the Pankhurst family home at 62 Nelson Street.
Thank you, Dr. Votesalot. Pesto, do you have anything to add that isn't complete nonsense?
Just one thing, Martin. These suffragettes seem very determined. I have a feeling they might actually succeed.
Pesto, it's 2024. We know they succeeded. That's Hardeman Pesto, somewhere in 1903, yet failing to make history.
News Bang, unleashing the kraken of facts upon a world drowning in fiction.
And now, for an environmental report that's sure to make your Geiger counter click with anxiety, it's Penelope Windchime. Penelope, what nuclear nightmares are haunting your dreams? Oh, the horror. Tonight, viewers, we mark a dark day in human history, the anniversary of the Partial Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. Yes, on this day in 1963, those reckless nations, those atomic arsonists, signed a treaty that only partially banned nuclear testing. Imagine the audacity, viewers. They promised to stop polluting our precious atmosphere with radioactive fallout, but they cunningly allowed those monstrous explosions to continue, underground, out of sight, out of mind. This treaty, viewers, was a sham. a mere fig leaf to cover their insatiable lust for atomic power. They pat themselves on the back for this supposed act of peace, while Mother Earth continues to suffer the consequences of their nuclear folly. And let's not forget the underground testing. Those tremors, those seismic shudders, they crack the very foundation of our planet, disturbing the delicate balance of nature. They pollute our precious groundwater, leaving a legacy of radiation for generations to come. It's an abomination. This has been Penelope Windchime reminding you that the only solution is complete nuclear disarmament. Ban all bombs, close all power plants, and for the love of all that is green and good, stop poisoning our planet.
And now, for a trip down memory lane and across the world's newest bridge, here's our travel correspondent, Polly Beep, with a rather unusual traffic report from 1992. Polly?
Hello, my little road warriors. Polly Beep here, your girl on the go, with a traffic report straight from the time tunnel. We're whizzing back to 1992, a year of grunge, dial-up internet, and a brand new bridge in Kolkata, India. That's right, folks. The Vidyasagar Setu, a bridge so grand it could make the Queen blush, has just opened. It took 20 years to build, enough concrete to pave a path to the moon, and more red tape than a bureaucratic nightmare. But finally, it's ready to carry the weight of Kolkata's traffic. Or at least, that's the plan. Reports are coming in of massive traffic jams as everyone and their auntie is flocking to the bridge for a gander. It's bumper-to-bumper chaos, a symphony of car horns, and I wouldn't be surprised if a few chai wallahs have set up shop on the hard shoulder. Meanwhile, back in Britain, the M25 is having a bit of a sulk. It seems our beloved motorway is suffering from a severe case of bridge envy. It's staged a good old-fashioned traffic jam in solidarity with its Indian counterpart. After all, misery loves company. This is Polly Beep signing off. Remember, folks, wherever you're headed, travel safe, travel in style. And if you're going anywhere near that new bridge in Kolkata, pack a good book. You might be there a while.
1846.
And now, our science correspondent Calamity Prenderville with a report on a peculiar British astronomical achievement that's sure to leave you seeing stars, or perhaps double.
Good evening, science enthusiasts. Today marks the anniversary of a truly British astronomical triumph. On this day in 1846, William Lassell, a Liverpool beer brewer turned stargazer, discovered Triton, Neptune's largest moon, using nothing more than a modified beer barrel and a magnifying glass from Woolworths.
Lassell's ingenious ale-escope was a marvel of British engineering. By filling a barrel with his finest bitter and peering through the bunghole, he created a liquid lens capable of seeing further into space than any telescope before. The slight wobble from fermentation even helped track celestial objects.
Just 17 days after Neptune's discovery, Lassell spotted Triton while taking a break from his nightly pub crawl. He initially thought it was a particularly bright, crisp packet caught in Neptune's orbit, but further observation revealed it to be a moon.
Triton's backwards orbit around Neptune baffled scientists until they realised it was simply obeying the British convention of driving on the left. This confirmed Triton as a proper tea-drinking celestial body.
Lassell's discovery paved the way for future British space innovations, like the Mars rover powered by Marmite and the International Space Station's tea-making facilities. So next time you look up at the night sky, raise a pint to William Lassell and his beer barrel brilliance. This is Calamity Prenderville, reminding you that the stars are always brighter after a few pints. Cheers and good night.
News Bang, unpacking the lunchbox of lies and facts for a peek at reality.
And now, For our nightly dose of royal ramblings and historical hijinks, we turn to our resident royal raconteur, Sandy O'Shaughnessy.
Nice and easy.
Good evening, and thrice good evening to you all. This is Sandy O'Shaughnessy, your friendly neighbourhood royal raconteur, coming to you live from the cosy confines of Newsbang Towers. A hearty hello to all you night owls out there, whether you're burning the midnight oil or just burning your midnight toast. Now, as we dive into our nightly nugget of noble nonsense, let me take you back to a time when battles were fought with swords instead of strongly worded emails. The year was 680, and let me tell you, it was hotter than a Dublin chippy on a Friday night. Picture this. Young Hussein ibn Ali, grandson of the Prophet Muhammad himself, found himself in a bit of a pickle. Now, Hussein wasn't your average Joe, or should I say your average Muhammad. No, this lad had holy blood running through his veins and a stubborn streak to match. You see, there was this chap called Yazid I who fancied himself the new caliph, but our Hussein wasn't having any of it. He looked at Yazid and thought, "You're about as fit to be caliph as I am to be the next winner of the Ballybricken Pig Fair." And so, off he went to Kufa, probably hoping to drum up some support and maybe enjoy a kebab or two along the way. But oh boy, did things take a turn for the worse. Yazid's forces caught up with Hussein near a place called Karbala. Now, I'm not saying Karbala was inhospitable, but it made the Sahara look like a tropical resort. Speaking of resorts, I got a letter from Maureen in Kilkenny. She writes, "Dear Sandy, I went on holiday to Lanzarote and came back with a sunburn shaped like the map of Ireland on me back. Is this a sign?" Well, Maureen, I'd say it's a sign. You need to invest in some Factor 50 and maybe brush up on your geography. But back to our tale of woe. Poor Hussein and his merry band found themselves surrounded, cut off from water, and in more hot water than a tea bag at a temperance meeting. It all came to a head on the 10th of Muharram, when Yazid's forces attacked. Now, I'm not one for gory details. I leave that to Martin Bang and his nightly news. But suffice it to say, it didn't end well for our Hussein. He and most of his male relatives met their maker that day, in a battle that would shape the future of Islam more than a master baker shapes his sourdough. This battle, dear listeners, split the Islamic world faster than a lightning bolt splits a tree. It's the reason we have Sunni and Shia Muslims today, and why the 10th of Muharram is a day of mourning for many. So, as we sit here in the comfort of our homes, let's raise a cup of tea, or something stronger, I won't judge, to Hussein ibn Ali. He may have lost the battle, but he won a place in history books and hearts alike. And remember, folks, whether you're a caliph or a commoner, a prophet's grandson or a postman's granddaughter, we're all just trying to make our mark in this crazy world. So be kind to each other, and maybe think twice before refusing to recognize someone as caliph. It rarely ends well. Until next time, this is Sandy O'Shaughnessy, wishing you a night as peaceful as a sleeping baby, and as sweet as a freshly baked scone. Good night, and as always, see you later, alligator. In a while, crocodile.
All over the country for everyone.
In News Bang, news forged in the furnace of fact.
And finally, let's have a glance at tomorrow's prawns. The Times screams space trip for trio of Yanks, plus a huge picture of a rocket. The Telegraph leads with Japanese sunk at Esperance. And there's a map of some god-forsaken island. The male roars, Jaffna jubilation as tigers tamed, and that's on pages 1, 3, 5, and 7. The Guardian has microwave massacre as elephant explodes. God knows what that's about. And the Express shrieks Space Dad builds shed rocket, with a photo of a shed. And that's it. Don't forget, Open Day at Newsbang is on Saturday. Come and meet the team, have a look around, and use our lovely toilets. Until tomorrow, sod off.
Tune in next time for more artificially intelligent hilarity. Newsbang is a comedy show, written and recorded by AI. All voices impersonated. Nothing here is real. Good night.